Hey everybody, and welcome back to another deep dive. You know how crucial those first impressions are, right? Whether you're trying to ace a job interview, make a good first date, or just connect with someone new online.
Absolutely. You really only get one shot to make that initial impact.
Exactly. And today we're going to explore a tool that claims to use AI to help you nail those first impressions, especially online.
It's called Tinder Profile AI.
Interesting. Now, before we jump in, a quick reminder for our listeners. If you're looking to boost your wealth and well-being, head over to wealthylovewell.com and check out their latest blog post. They've got a fantastic hidden deal just for our listeners.
Oh, yeah. Don't miss out on that.
Definitely not. Okay, so back to tinderprofile.ai. It sounds like it's specifically aimed at improving dating profiles. Is that right?
Well, that's where the name comes from, but it seems like it has some broader applications too.
Okay, I'm intrigued. So how does it work? Does it use like filters and stuff to touch up your photos?
It's actually a lot more sophisticated than that. You upload a few of your own photos, and the AI generates a whole bunch of new ones.
Whoa, hold on. So it doesn't just edit your existing pics, it actually creates totally new images.
Exactly. Complete with different outfits, backgrounds, even poses. It's pretty wild.
Okay, my mind is blown. So it's like having a personal photographer and stylist all rolled into one AI-powered package.
Pretty much.
I mean, I can see how that would be super appealing for anyone who struggles with taking good profile pictures. And let's be honest, that's probably most of us, right?
You're telling me, I mean, I'm no selfie expert myself, and even if you are good at taking photos, a professional photo shoot can be expensive.
True, true. But I'm also thinking about those who maybe aren't comfortable putting themselves out there visually.
Mhm.
Is this AI going to make them look like someone they're not?
That's a great question and something we'll definitely want to dig into. From what I've read so far, the emphasis is on creating natural-looking images, not turning you into some airbrushed version of yourself.
Okay, that makes sense. So for guys especially, those photos can be make or break on dating apps. What's this AI promising them? Like, will it actually help them get more matches?
Well, the whole point seems to be to boost your chances of getting noticed, right? To make
Hmm.
you stand out in that sea of profiles. So yeah, more matches are definitely part of the pitch.
And for women, how does it play out?
I think for women, it's more about feeling empowered to present their best selves online, without feeling pressure to conform to those unrealistic beauty standards we see everywhere.
Yeah, that's so important. But I'm also wondering about the ethics of all this. I mean, is it misleading to use AI-generated photos? Where do we draw the line between enhancing your image and creating a false persona?
That's a really interesting question and something we'll have to consider as we explore this tool further.
Definitely. We'll have to keep those ethical considerations in mind as we deep dive into tinderprofile.ai.
Yeah, it's a tricky area for sure. I mean, think about it like this. We're already seeing AI being used to create deepfakes and all sorts of realistic but fabricated content.
Yeah. Right, and that's a whole other ethical can of worms we've talked about before.
Totally. So with something like Tinder Profile AI, it's important to be transparent. I think if you're using AI generated photos, it's probably a good idea to be upfront about it.
Yeah, I agree. Full disclosure seems like the way to go. But let's shift gears for a moment and talk about the psychology behind all of this. Why do we place so much importance on those first impressions anyway?
Well, there's a whole field of research dedicated to this stuff. It turns out our brains are hardwired to make snap judgments about people based on very limited information.
So it's like an evolutionary thing. Like back in the caveman days, we needed to quickly assess whether someone was a friend or foe.
Exactly. We need to know if we should run or fight or, invite them over for dinner.
Makes sense. So those snap judgments, they're still with us today, even in the digital age.
Absolutely. And when it comes to online profiles, those first impressions are often based on visuals. Your photos are the first thing people see.
So you're saying those photos are basically doing the talking for you before you even get a chance to say hello.
Pretty much. They're conveying information about your personality, your lifestyle, your values, even if you're not consciously aware of it.
Okay, so that's where a tool like tinderprofile.ai could come in handy, I guess.
Yes.
It's about putting your best visual foot forward, so to speak.
Exactly. It's about crafting an online persona that aligns with how you want to be perceived, whether that's as confident, approachable, adventurous, whatever it might be.
So it's kind of like personal branding, but for your dating life or your social life in general.
You could say that. And it goes beyond just attracting romantic partners, too. Think about LinkedIn, for example.
Oh, interesting. So you're saying this AI could be useful for professional profiles as well?
Absolutely. A strong profile picture on LinkedIn can make a huge difference in terms of getting noticed by recruiters, building your professional network, and even landing job interviews.
That makes sense. I mean, first impressions are crucial in the professional world, too. And I guess, in a way, your LinkedIn profile is kind of like a dating profile for your career.
Haha, I like that analogy. But seriously, in today's digital landscape, we're constantly being evaluated based on our online presence, whether we like it or not.
True enough. So having a tool that can help us put our best visual foot forward, well, it could be a game changer, both personally and professionally.
I think so too. But you know what? I'm starting to wonder if everyone starts using this AI to perfect their photos, won't we all end up looking kind of similar?
Hmm, that's an interesting thought. Like, will it create a sort of homogenized standard of beauty? Will we all end up looking like AI-generated clones?
I don't know, but it's something to think about. I mean, individuality and authenticity are still important, right?
Absolutely. I think it all comes back to using these tools in a way that feels genuine and true to yourself. If you're trying to be someone you're not, people will see right through it.
Yeah, no amount of AI can replace genuine human connection. But it can certainly help you make a good first impression and open the door to those connections in the first place.
Well said. Okay, so we've covered a lot of ground today. We've talked about the ethics of AI-generated photos, the psychology of first impressions, and how this technology could be used for both personal and professional gain.
And we've raised some interesting questions about authenticity and individuality in the digital age.
Definitely. But before we wrap up, I'm curious to hear about those real-life success stories you mentioned earlier. People who have actually used Tinder Profile AI and seen positive results.
Oh, I've got some good ones. I found some pretty compelling anecdotes online. People using it for dating, for professional networking, even just for boosting their confidence.
Okay, you've got me hooked. Tell me everything. All right, lay it on me.
Sure.
What kind of success stories did you find?
Well, there was this one guy, I think his name was David. Yeah, David. He was a musician, and he was trying to use dating apps to, meet people, make connections, but he wasn't having much luck.
Okay, so what was the issue? Were his photos just not doing him justice?
Yeah, it sounds like they were kind of like bland. Nothing special, not bad, just not really showcasing his personality or his passions.
So he decided to try Tinder Profile AI. What happened?
Well, he uploaded a few of his regular photos, and the AI went to work. It created all these new images, some with him playing his guitar, some with him at concerts, some with like different outfits and hairstyles.
So was able to capture that artistic musician vibe.
Exactly. And it totally transformed his dating profile. He started getting way more matches, and the women he was talking to were actually interested in his music and his creative side.
That's awesome. So it wasn't just about looking good. It was about conveying who he was as a person.
Exactly. It helped him project his authentic self online, and that made all the difference.
I love that. Do you have any other examples? Maybe someone who wasn't using it for dating.
Oh, yeah, for sure. I read about this woman named Sarah who was a freelance writer. She was trying to build her online brand, but she felt like her social media profiles were kind of lackluster.
Yeah, I think a lot of freelancers struggle with that, right? It's like you're your own brand, so those visuals really matter.
Totally. And Sarah was great at writing, but she wasn't really comfortable in front of the camera. So she decided to give Tinder Profile AI a try, just to see if it could help her create some professional-looking photos for her website and social media.
Okay. And did it work?
It totally did. She uploaded a few casual photos, and the AI generated all these amazing images. Some were more formal, like headshots, and others were more relaxed and creative.
So she had a variety of options to choose from, depending on the
Um,
platform or the message she wanted to convey.
Exactly. And she ended up with a whole portfolio of photos that made her feel confident and represented her brand perfectly.
That's fantastic. It sounds like this AI tool really can be a game changer for people who want to improve their online presence, whether it's for dating, professional networking, or just personal branding.
I totally agree. And it's not just about the end result, the photos themselves. I think the process of using this tool can actually be really empowering.
How so?
Well, it kind of forces you to think about how you want to present yourself to the world. It makes you consider your strengths, your values, what makes you unique.
That's a really good point. It's almost like a form of self-discovery, in a way.
I think so. And it can boost your confidence, too. When you see these amazing photos of yourself, it's hard not to feel good about yourself.
That makes sense. Okay, well, we've covered a lot of ground today. We've talked about the ethics of AI-generated images, the psychology behind first impressions, and we've heard some pretty incredible success stories from people who've used Tinder Profile AI.
Yeah, it's been a fascinating deep dive.
It really has. So for our listeners who are intrigued by all of this, what would you say is the key takeaway?
I think the biggest takeaway is that we're living in a visual world, and those first impressions matter, both online and offline.
Absolutely. And while authenticity is always key, there's nothing wrong with using tools like Tinder Profile AI to help you put your best foot forward and showcase your true self to the world.
Well said.
And on that note, we'll wrap up this deep dive into Tinder Profile AI. Thanks for joining us, and we'll see you next time for another fascinating exploration.
See ya!